Coming up on Tech News Today, Intel gets inside a Samsung tablet, HTC cancels a Windows tablet, and FanTV might be the one box you want. All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Friday, May 31st, 2013, completing 3 straight years of Tech News Today. Woo. Tech News Today is brought to you by TechServe. TechServe assists U.S. businesses of all sizes with their technology needs, including Apple, Avid, Adobe, and HP solutions. Visit TechServe.com/TNT and receive a complimentary iPad deployment assessment. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Ayaz Akhtar.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And this is the show where we keep you up to date on the most important stories in the tech world. Sarah Lane off on holiday for a day, but she'll be back on Monday. In the meantime, let's get to the top 10 stories of the day in the news feeds. A New Zealand court ruled Friday that warrants used to raid Kim Dotcom's home in 2012 were illegal. Court said police must provide copies of all relevant evidence in the prosecution of Dotcom, and any material that it deemed by the court not to be relevant must be returned to Dotcom.
British Telecom BT is done with Yahoo Mail. Now, BT customers using Yahoo Mail have complained that their accounts were hacked and then were used to spam others. BT will shift all of its customers to a new system with built-in antivirus and anti-spam features next month. Customers will get to keep their same email address, but they may have to change their password.
Han Hai Precision Limited is opening a Foxconn Research and Development Center in Japan near Sharp's Sakai LCD plant. Han Hai is a 38% owner of the Sharp plant and has been attempting to acquire a stake in Sharp itself. The new center will focus on display and touch panel research for consumer, commercial, and medical products.
OMG, HTC is 86ing a 12-inch RT. Bloomberg reports HTC is dropping plans to introduce a 12-inch Windows RT tablet because the device would be too costly and there is weak demand for RT tablets. Bloomberg says that HTC will introduce a 7-inch Windows RT device as well as a 7-inch Android device later this year.
The Magic the Gathering online exchange, also known as Mt. Gox Bitcoin exchange, just got a little less anonymous. The exchange will now require identity verification for every non-Bitcoin deposit or withdrawal. Bitcoin-only transactions can remain anonymous.
Google Fiber head honcho Milo Medin says that Google Fiber isn't some experiment. It's an actual business that the company hopes will be profitable one day. Medin said that we expect to make money from Google Fiber and that this is a great business to be in while speaking at the Fiber to the Home Council meeting in Kansas City. Do you hear that? Every other ISP, you might be able to make money on fiber. Give me fiber.
It's important for a balanced diet. The Electronic Frontier Foundation announced Thursday it will launch a fundraising campaign to oppose Personal Audio LLC. Personal Audio has sued podcasts like The Adam Carolla Show and Stuff You Should Know podcast, claiming violation of patents related to podcasting. The EFF wants the money mostly to pay a U.S. Patent and Trade Office fee for a trial review of prior art. EFF estimates the fees to be around $25,000 and wants to raise a total of $30,000 for the project.
Reuters reports that Samsung will use an Intel processor in an upcoming top-tier Android tablet. The current story is that one version of the Galaxy Tab 3 10.1 will have an Intel Clover Trail Plus chip inside. Samsung's Android devices have been traditionally run on ARM chips. If this report is true, way to go, Brian Krzanich.
First month on the job. Nice job. Asus will release a 31.5-inch 4K monitor later in June. The Asus PQ321 IGZO monitor will have a resolution of 3840 by 2160 and a 140 pixels per inch screen. It will also come with a display port and 2 HDMI ports, at least on the US version, allowing 2 inputs for picture-in-picture. If you're headed to Computex in Taipei next week, you can take a look in person. A 4K 30.5-inch monitor will come to the US later in June.
So the FBI wants user data from Google without a search warrant and without alerting those users. Now, Google's been fighting this request in court. CNET reports that U.S. District Judge Susan Ilston in San Francisco has rejected Google's request to modify or toss out 19 national security letters. That's the name of the warrantless electronic data gathering technique used by the FBI. That would mean Google would have to turn over data to the FBI. The judge said that Google's arguments were too broad, which sounds like Google just needs to try again with a narrower argument.
This episode of Tech News Today brought to you by TechServe, New York's premier authorized Apple reseller and technology provider, serving creative professionals at all levels, from individual customers to Fortune 100 companies. TechServe comes with a full range of Apple products: iPhones, iPads, iMacs, MacBooks, the whole deal. They also have a range of partnerships with top vendors to facilitate flexible, efficient, and creative solutions for all your business needs. TechServe assists businesses of all size. They deploy Apple, Avid, Adobe solutions all around the United States. And whether you're already committed to iPads or you're just getting started, TechServe can help you out with sales, support, and setting up your processes, putting everything into practice. We've talked about it before. They do amazing technology solutions on iPads, like those Delta terminals. If you've been in LaGuardia Airport in New York, or Toronto, or Minneapolis, you may have noticed nearly every seat in the terminal is equipped with an iPad. You can sit anywhere in the terminal, get your flight updates, order some food, play some games, browse the internet, check your email. Over 1.5 million visitors used these iPads in Delta's terminals last year, and the result has been a double-digit increase in food and beverage revenue at the airport. Highest customer satisfaction scores in all participating airports. OTG Management, that's the hospitality company behind the terminals, they used TechServe to provide, configure, and install the world's largest deployments of iPads, and a number that just keeps growing as they add new terminals. So obviously, if you've got a need for this, TechServe is the place to turn. They also provide ongoing support once they get everything installed for you. So if your enterprise has a problem, help's just a phone call away. If you're considering adding iPads to your business, why not ensure the project's success with the world's most experienced partner? If your business is considering integrating iOS technology at the workplace, here's what you do. Contact TechServe today and receive a complimentary iPad deployment assessment. That's TEKSERVE.com/TNT. And TechServe will help you assess your current or future iPad needs and give you advice to make it a success. That's TechServe with a K, TechServe.com/TNT. And we thank TechServe for their support of Tech News Today. Joining us now to discuss the stories of the day, Darren Kitchen on a pause in between his hack across America. I'm glad you had some time carved out. How's it going with that?
Oh, it's going so great. It's good to come back to the studio, get some provisions, unlock the first gate, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
One of those things, yeah.
Are you re-provisioning?
I am re-provisioning before heading up to Seattle on the 15th and LA on the 22nd.
I'm looking forward to LA on the 22nd. That's going to be a good time.
That means that Darren's getting a whole bunch of astronaut food. He's just going to put it in the van.
That's pretty much what I've been
Dippin' Dots.
Neapolitan ice cream and pizza. Also joining us, it's Friday, and we're having Len Peralta back to illustrate the show. I was gone last week, but I was watching the show. You did some great stuff last week, man. You're really top good.
I am trying.
You're good at like taking the tech stories we're doing and turning them into something really fun.
So I think what's happening is now you are choosing stories that are deliberately hard to draw, I think.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about IPSEC and packet loss.
It's going to be awesome. You're going to see some awesome cartoons with that.
Big question.
I am ready to be challenged.
If you're on the audio podcast, you won't even know he's here. But on the video podcast, you get to see his art. And either podcast, go to lenperalta.com and check stuff out after the show. Meanwhile, let's kick it off with Intel scoring a win on the Samsung Galaxy Android tablet, at least according to Reuters. Following up on what VentureBeat reported last week, Intel will have an Intel Clover Trail Plus processor. Samsung uses Intel chips in their ATIV line. That's their Windows stuff, but they haven't used one on an Android before. Now, the source is unsure if we'll see it at the June 20th Samsung announcement. It's possible we could see it at Computex in Taipei next week. But previous sources have indicated that Samsung was making a Galaxy Tab 3 10.1 with their own Exynos processor inside. So it could be possible we see multiple versions. Darren, you have a guess at when we'll find out about this?
No idea when we'll find out, but I will say that this has been a long time coming. As you remember, it was in Intel's developer forum back in 2011 that they partnered with Google to do Android at the time Froyo stuff. with their Atom processor. So anytime that Intel brings their big stuff to that platform, it's going to get exciting.
Now, we gave Kruzanich a little props there in the news fuse. But first of all, Intel hasn't confirmed this. And second of all, it could be just one of many SKUs. Even if it is the entire Samsung Galaxy Tab 3, that's just one major tablet that's out there. It's a good beginning, but how significant do you think this is?
I think if Intel can show that their processors and their implementation of Android runs well, or the version of Android that runs well on it, if that shows itself to be a better performer than other devices, maybe that'll create a trend. But I think it's really smart that if Intel was going to go in with any tablet maker, they go with Samsung because they're name brand at this point. And the other thing is this is a 10-inch device, so one of the bigger criticisms of Intel is power drain. You have a 10-inch device, you can stick a really large battery in there, so you might not see any of the same issues you've seen before with mobile Intel products. So I think if they can demonstrate better performance or anything better, that they might have a big trend going on. The other thing is like getting Samsung on board. Samsung uses parts from everybody, and they make everything themselves. So I thought that was also surprising that Samsung would go outside of itself. They've used Texas Instruments before, and they also make their own processors.
Yeah, and Samsung's one of those companies like Sony where they kind of do everything. So they are going to use competing products sometimes and stuff just because it makes more sense. On the other hand, this is really important for Intel because tablets are, a large percentage. We saw those slides from Mary Meeker yesterday that tablets are outperforming desktops and laptops by leaps and bounds. Intel's future is tied to laptops and desktops. They need to get at least a tablet processor out there, if not mobile processors everywhere. And Jason, I'm wondering, on the other side of this, we know it's really important for Intel. Does it make any difference at all to an Android consumer if it has Intel in there or not?
I don't feel like it makes a difference from the Android perspective. It's just kind of if it performs well, and particularly if it increases that battery capability, I think people will be very, very forgiving as far as that's concerned.
I think, yeah, you nailed it. It's all about performance.
Well, we've also seen the fact that Android devices are actually eating into Windows sales. So if Intel's tied to laptops and desktops that are Windows-based, they need to get into Android devices because that's the actual operating system that is eating up market share against Intel's traditional partners. So it's interesting to see Intel going, all right, we're with Samsung, if this is true. But this would also, like I was saying before, this would be very big for the new CEO, Brian Kruzanich, because he's reportedly flattened the company in its organizational structure. He's got this potential deal with Samsung. It could be a really interesting Intel. I'm surprised how quick he seems to be moving.
Speaking of Windows, if Samsung releases this Galaxy tablet with a banging Intel processor, wouldn't that really kind of put a hurt on the whole Windows RT thing?
Perhaps.
Well, you know what, Darren? It actually brings us to our next story because HTC has reportedly canceled the full-size Windows RT tablet, right, Ayaz?
Yeah, so there was this report a while ago that HTC was going to make a 12-inch Windows RT tablet. Now, that original story also said that HTC would not make Windows 8 tablets with Intel inside because they would be too costly. And so what's been going on now, the latest story is that due to pricey components, this 12-inch reported tablet is now canceled. HTC will not be making a 12-inch Windows RT tablet, citing high cost and weak demand for larger tablets as well. Now, HTC is still on track to make a 7-inch Windows RT tablet that should launch in September or October. A 7-inch HTC Android tablet would be planned for the same time. Both are using Qualcomm Snapdragon processors. Now, Microsoft has managed to release and its partners a total of 5 Windows RT devices since October. Darren, do you think this is good news for HTC that they're getting in the Windows RT game? Is this good news for Microsoft? Neither?
Well, it's a good news that they're just going to focus on that 7-inch one, because with the 5 that are already out there, there's really not a whole lot of differentiation. I mean, you got to figure, unlike the PC industry where, a Windows box can, be highly differentiated from each other, in this arena, it's like it kind of doesn't even make sense to switch from one tablet to another until there's like major generation changes. So I don't think there's a lot of room in each generation for that specialized kind of hardware.
Now, Tom, we've seen HTC struggle with Android tablets. There's that HTC Jetstream, not exactly well received. I think it was too expensive.
Yeah.
HTC seems to be very cost conscious. That seems to be the reason why they're killing a 12-inch device, sticking to 7-inch devices. Do you think that HTC is doing the right strategy?
Well, HTC seems to be floundering. We've talked about that before on the show. So I don't know if this is the right strategy for them. I think they have to they have their own problems, and they have to come up with something popular. And a Windows RT tablet is not going to be the thing that pulls HTC out of the doldrums. So certainly not a critical move for them to not do a large Windows RT tablet. I think this says more about Windows. I see people very excited about Windows Pro tablets, that Japanese tablet that's coming with Microsoft Office. People are actually positive about that. They're excited. Now, those are more expensive tablets. But when you follow this logic chain, what is going to run the Windows Pro tablets? The Intel processors. What is Intel trying to do? Get into mobile. Maybe that's the way Intel gets a leg into mobile, is if Windows Pro tablets starts to take off and not Windows RT. Windows RT is just meant to run on ARM, and it's power efficient to run on ARM, but it's power deficient to run Windows RT. I mean, I've got a Surface RT tablet. It's okay, but you just feel like you're restricted in running Windows. So you might as well go for an Android or an iOS tablet at that point. I think Windows RT has got a rough road ahead of it. I don't think it's going to last. But I do think we'll see other attempts by Microsoft to put Windows on ARM, because there's so many ARM processors out there, they just have to. But it's going to have to be a more fully featured version in the future, I feel like.
Yeah, the thing about Windows RT is it's totally dependent on the Windows Store experience. So if you don't have a lot of apps there, it's not going to be the best experience. And the thing is, this seems like it's a better long-term kind of game for HTC if they're going to do this, because Microsoft is pumping up the Windows Store. Windows 8.1 was just announced, or at least shown off by Microsoft. So as that selection increases, the RT tablets will seem more powerful. But the thing about HTC, if they're so cost worried, what I'm kind of concerned about is the education aspect currently. I believe it was Samsung who declined bringing their RT devices to the United States because of the education cost to explain. Yeah, it's Windows, but it doesn't run all the desktop applications. But yeah, it's Windows. It's called Windows, but it's not Windows. It's this very confusing labeling system that I don't know if HTC can get a message across, but maybe in the long term it'll pay off.
Sometimes I wonder if it would have been better for Microsoft to come out with ARM-based tablets that weren't Windows branded. Because the problem, let's say if you make Windows RT less functional and it's more like iOS or Android, it's more locked down, then it's less confusing, but people are confused because it's called Windows. Maybe they should have called it, Microsoft Fly.
They could have called it Windows Mobile. They killed Windows Mobile as a name. That would have been a good name for their tablet and phone OS, and then Windows proper. But mobile, they could
call it like a PC that you can put in your pocket, like a pocket PC.
Wait.
But that's not Windows.
I like it. All right, let's move on to Han Hai setting up that R&D company in Japan. A little more about what's going on there. As I mentioned, Han Hai is a 38% owner in Sharp's Sakai plant. That is the only 10th gen LCD plant in the world. They also, apparently, for their R&D center, for Foxconn's R&D center, have hired Koju Yanu. He's still listed on LinkedIn as the general manager of Sharp's LCD plant. So I don't know if he's on loan or if he's actually quit and moved over to Foxconn. But this is definitely a play by Han Hai through their Foxconn division to get really close to Sharp and steal talent. And definitely take advantage of the talent that's already there in Japan. It's only the third R&D center. They have one in Taiwan, one in China. And they've been trying to buy a stake in Sharp in general. They're part owner of the plant, but they're not part owner of the company. There have been problems with that, both on Sharp's end and just the stock value going down. If you can't buy them, recruit all their talent and then make them cheaper. Do you think that's what's going on here? What do you think, Darren?
Well, I think, basically Sharp has been restructuring and downsizing in Japan since 2012, and they've got 2 plants there that even back then they were considering selling to Foxconn. So this just sounds like, the fruits of those labors.
Yeah, it's definitely them saying, okay, well, we can't buy Sharp outright, so we can't get that plant. Let's move next door and do the next best thing. This is going to be touch panels. It's going to be screens, and we've talked about this before. If you're thinking, well, wait, Foxconn, those are just the people that make iPhones and iPads, right? Well, they do that, but they're trying to be more than that, and they want to do cloud services. They say that somehow this research plan is going to contribute to their cloud services. They're talking about coming out with their own products. So this is definitely an important step in that. Ayaz, what do you make of this?
Well, I think that the TV markets, the display markets have shifted so much at this point that Han Hai and Foxconn get on board with this by just taking talent, because these companies that are just trying to make a living on displays, Sharp has tried to do this, Sony's doing this, Panasonic, all these companies have tried this. At this point, those things are commodities. So the experience you get from these executives and the intelligence they'll bring to their organization, they're kind of being wasted at Sharp and they're being wasted at these other locations because they aren't succeeding. If Foxconn can do a better job with these people and actually figure out what to do with them and take their experience into newer products, touchscreen devices and other displays, maybe that's more beneficial for consumer electronics as a whole.
Yeah, I look down the road and I see what's happening here. Foxconn has maxed itself out as a manufacturer, as an assembler of parts, and they're looking for other areas of growth. And typically what you do there is you start designing products. I mean, we've seen lots of companies, Texas Instruments, for instance, go fabless, which means that they don't actually fabricate things anymore. And it looks like Hanhai is successful enough at this point that that's what they're positioning themselves to do. You think we're going to see a line of products? I mean, I'm looking a little farther down the road here, but are we going to be buying Foxconn tablets?
Yes. Why not? That makes the most sense. I mean, if you're, after a while of just manufacturing this stuff, you've only got to eventually soak up the kind of talent and innovation that it takes to like create your own home brand. So I don't see them not doing that. I mean, it makes the most sense because then they get to cut out, their resellers and then make all of the big margins.
Let me go with my crazy conspiracy theory. Since Foxconn does have such a deep relationship with Apple, that they're going to be making the Apple TV. And so they're getting all of these people in line to figure out, okay, how can we make this process as low cost as we possibly can because we're not losing that Apple contract for televisions. So that's my crazy, way out there prediction.
I'm going to go the other direction, and this is not just a pun because Firefox Mobile OS is supposedly being built. They're making a product at Foxconn. We're going to see the Firefoxconn.
Ooh, I like it.
And it's just going to be a con, like on the Enterprise. No, I don't know.
Then there will be a convention called the Firefoxconn convention.
I think actually, Ayaz, your guess, as crazy as it is, makes more sense that Foxconn might be retooling, repositioning to make some sort of Apple television. But they better hurry because there are more people getting in the game all the time to deliver television to you over the internet in one little tiny Eve Behar designed box in this case.
Yeah, it's Fanhattan. They introduced a new set-top box called FanTV at All Things D, at least the D conference, that is. Now, Fanhattan, you might have heard of them before. They make an iOS app. It links together a whole bunch of streaming services, making it like a central location to find video content. Now, their set-top box is this little teeny tiny box. It's got 3 inputs, or it's got 3 ports. It's an HDMI port, Ethernet, and power. Now, this set-top box gives you access to live TV content, web streaming, and a cloud DVR. And the claim is they want this to be the one box you need. No HDMI pass-throughs, no other boxes necessary. And they're aiming to partner up with cable companies. This device, FanTV, is not aimed at cord cutters. They want to partner with cable providers. The company does say that they might come out with a version without a cable integration. And the UI is graphics heavy. It's got displays content based on what's trending, genre-based listings, customized favorites. Now, Fanhattan thinks cable providers will be excited to work with them because their box is so different. The whole thing is controlled with this little remote that has no buttons. It's basically it's a touch panel, a touchpad that you can actually scroll through all of the UI. The cost of the device is unknown. Like I said before, the cable company partners are unknown. Darren, do you think we're actually ever going to see a box like this from a cable company?
One would hope, but I'm not holding my breath because, again, we're talking about big telecommunications companies here, and just they don't move fast enough like these little startups coming out with these boxes. And I think if the remote is any indication, though, I mean, if the iPod was so successful, or the iPhone was so successful with only one button, we can only imagine what a remote with 0 buttons is going to do.
Is that the button indexed theory of success?
I think it is. You can take the IBM Model M with like 104 keys, and then you take the iPhone and you compare their success. It's just, you see the bell curve there.
Yeah, definitely. I want to know, like, I read a couple stories saying this thing has just the 2 inputs, Ethernet and HDMI. Is that right?
Well, yeah. The other thing I said was power. So that's the entire...
Well, okay, yeah, power. But
yes, that's it.
How does it get the cable television in? Does it have a cable card slot?
See, that's
and
the
if
thing.
so,
I was staring at this box. I was looking and trying to figure out how this thing works. And as far as I can tell, it seems like Manhattan wants to get partnerships with cable companies, so they are providing their live stream through Ethernet, because there is no cable card slot on this device unless it's really hidden, unless you take this device apart. I have not seen like a coax jack, and since they're saying there's no HDMI pass-through, I have not seen any exact clarification on that question, Tom.
So it's IPTV. It would have to be. And that's AT&T and Verizon Fios. I know Time Warner is messing with this. I think Comcast is messing with it. But this is early days, even to get like legit live cable television over Ethernet to here. You're going to have some kind of crazy adapter with a box hanging off the back. Eve Bahar's not going to like that. I tell you what, though, I've used the Fanhattan or now Fan interface online for finding where stuff is available. And I know I still prefer canistream.it because it's a little more comprehensive, but definitely Fanhattan has a beautiful interface. So, and now a beautiful box. This is a contender. It's all, as with all these things, it's always about the partnerships, right?
Well, there's that, and I'm thinking about there's Roku boxes out there that can act as a cable box in some respects. So as long as you have a traditional cable box in your house, you can run like a Time Warner application to watch some of those contents. So perhaps that's the way they're trying to get this device inside. Maybe you're right, Tom. Maybe there's a middle box that you have to install this, kind of like when you get like a cable modem and you need to have this little extra piece not in between your television and your fan TV, but I'm sure there's some kind of adapter that would be there. That interface, to me, though, I think that could be really interesting. One of the executives at Fanhattan was talking about engagement and how when it gets difficult to find content on cable, eventually people turn to their iPads to play Angry Birds or to do something else. And cable providers would rather have you watching television than switching off. So even though this box seems a little strange and it's not exactly the traditional style of, big grid guide and all these things, if they can keep users engaged, that would be better for the cable companies as a whole, because they're an infrastructure company. They're not necessarily about UI.
Absolutely. And talking about, the engagement, I'm not necessarily as excited about the interface between the cable television and the box. That's okay, fine, figure it out. Hulu, who knows, right? But Fan.TV, Fanhattan, they've done a fantastic job on their iOS app. So I think that with the success of this, they could be really poised to do some cool stuff with like a second screen experience.
All right, we got another box to talk about. This one's more of a gaming box, though. BlueStacks has an Ouya competitor.
Yeah, we're talking about the Game Pop. Now, the Game Pop was announced a while ago. This is from BlueStacks. You might know BlueStacks because they make some software that lets you run Android apps on your Mac or PC. The Game Pop is an Android-powered game console. Just got an official price of $129. The device brings mobile games to your TV. And once you get the box, here's how it works. You've got to pay a subscription fee of about $7 a month. That gives you unlimited access to games in the Game Pop library. Right now, there's about 500 games, and there's promise of updates. The company also announced that Game Pop added $50 worth of free games and a new partner, Korea's biggest game developer, Com2US, or Com2S, I think it is. You control the games either using the controller that comes with the console or your iPhone or Android. Now, if that price is too high, BlueStacks also announced that they're still giving away the console for free until the end of June when you subscribe. Originally, that promotion was going to end this month in May. After that, though, after this promotion is over in June, you've got to pay $129 for the controller and the console. Tom, do you think devices like this can compete with the big boys, especially with the Xbox One coming out soon and the PS4?
I'm intrigued by this idea of pay $7 a month, play any game you want. That's very attractive if it's got the games that I want that are worth $7 a month. And I'm still not certain that Android is going to provide enough of that. Now, BlueStacks, just like Ouya, is going to create games just for this console, and that's why they've partnered with Come To Us. So maybe in Korea, this will be an amazing deal for $7 a month. I'm interested. I'm interested in how the console market is supposedly dying, and yet we're seeing more consoles entering the market to compete than ever before.
Darren, somebody in the chat room called it, haha, so many Wii U killers coming out lately. Is that really what these kinds of devices are going to do? Are they going to take that casual market and just have a stranglehold on it?
I don't know. It's like the commoditization of consoles, and I would actually blame the major console manufacturers for not upping their game over the last, 5, 6, 7 years. that everybody's been able to catch up with commodity hardware and do all of these Android-based stuff. So yeah, I mean, if you're just a casual gamer, the prospect of at least this month, a free console, it's like $10 shipping, and then like you said, the $7 a month. So that's like $94 for a year of gaming. If that's what matters to you, I see that totally competing with not necessarily this particular one, but that model, if it can be compelling, definitely competing with the big boys.
And the Ouya is about $100, but you get to have free trials of games. You have to buy the games. This is a subscription, all-you-can-eat style. I think that's a really intriguing subscription service. A lot of people complain about Xbox Live. They're like, I'm paying $60, and what do I get to do? I get to pay for another subscription service like Netflix, so I get access for that. So there's this issue of if you're going to be constantly giving your money to somebody, you want to be getting something right for it. I think this is an interesting approach. And I think BlueStacks is doing a really intelligent thing by trying to get out as many of these consoles as possible by doing this give it away for free concept. Because come sometime in November or December, whenever the new consoles come out, people are not going to be thinking about these little Android boxes. They might be thinking about...
It's not necessarily free. It's free, but you have to pay the $10 for the shipping and commit to a year of $7 a month. So that's $94 right there if you like it for a year. But if you don't, there's a $25 cancellation fee. On top of if you don't return the console, it's like another $100. So it could be like $142 to try.
It's like getting a smartphone that you attach to your TV. That's what they're effectively doing. So don't tell anybody the Android box that's connected to your TV is a phone.
Oops.
We should wait and see what the prices of these new Microsoft and Sony consoles are. I do think that calling this a Wii U killer is probably right on, all of these kinds of things. But I think the console market's going to shake out that you've got the expensive stuff from the big boys that does much more than just video games, and it has the best high-quality console games that you could buy, and that's the elite. But hey, can't afford that? Not that hardcore into the gaming, don't care about the television side, the entertainment side of it, $99 gets you new, or $129 gets you, an all-you-can-eat thing. Again, they have to have the games, but this is going to appeal to a large segment of the marketplace that is like, you know what? I just want to play some fun stuff. I don't really care about spending a lot of money on this.
Yeah. You guys familiar with those MHL to HDMI cables?
Yes.
The ones that plug into your phone and put it on the TV? I was about to say, like, if I were in this market, which I'm not, I would totally just rebrand one of those things and be like, boom, bring your own phone, Yeah. Because ultimately, if you're using your phone as the controller anyway, yeah.
Roku's got an MHL stick that you just plug in the back of your television if you've got MHL, if you got an MHL port. So let's finish off with electronic tattoos and passwords you can swallow. This is coming from D yesterday. Regina Dugan, who formerly ran DARPA, is now at Motorola Mobility heading up their research, showed off pills and tattoos. It was a good time. Way to go, Kara Swisher. Vitamin authentication pill powered by your stomach acid sends out 18-bit authentication signal. This is FDA approved. It was actually designed by Proteus Digital Health as a way to monitor medical things, but Motorola took it over and said, hey, we'd like to use that for password authentication. And they say it's safe to swallow one pill a day for 30 days straight. I don't know what you do after that first month, though. And then I think more viable here is the tattoo sticker on your wrist. This was something called biostamps designed by MC10, again, for medical purposes. But Motorola, again, wants to make it an authentication sticker. So this little tattoo on your wrist would be able to log you in, could unlock doors, and do all kinds of cool stuff. So, Darren, does this make you salivate as a hacker?
I mean, kind of. I like the concept. I mean, it's basically just a challenge and response with a symmetric key. It's potentially cool for two-factor authentication. I think what they're talking about is a bit weak here in theory, but it's fun just the kind of road that it paves, because body hacking, I mean, the body is just another complex system. Just keep in mind, it comes with its own caveats, because you don't want a kernel panic.
No, not in your stomach. I'm feeling a little queasy. I don't know if I can log in right now.
I feel a little 18-bit, It's not going to cut it. Actually, what would be even more interesting, do you think they can export these? I mean, I guess they're under 40 bits, so they can export them or whatever, but it's just like suddenly, I'm sorry, sir, you can't come through customs. Why? Well, because your body is considered encryption.
Yeah, you can't change planes in this country right now. I'm sorry. I also wonder if you'll be doing a lot of this, like, I gotta I can't quite log in. Hold on, let me close this closer to my stomach.
Let me check my tramp stamp for my password. There. Oh, is that it? Yeah, there you go.
Does this sound cool to you?
It sounds cool, but I'm also thinking about that whole trend we were talking about the other day of wearables. You could put these sensors on your watch just fine. You don't need a tattoo. You don't need to worry about your body failing. You just put it on a watch. I think it's really a neat idea. I'm the practical applications for something like these tattoos, I'm thinking are like almost like for pets. They've chipped pets, and if you have this idea of this cat coming through a cat door, a dog door, that kind of thing, that would unlock it. I could see that working, but I don't know if humans are going to be using anything like this because there's an immediate pushback when it comes to wearable technologies. You're talking about embeddable or swallowable ones? I think that might freak out a little bit.
No. You got to realize that in your body is the next in space.
Oh, you're talking about inner space now, right?
No, I'm just saying whatever it is.
Inner space.
Yeah.
I think the tattoo is pretty viable. I think people would do that more likely than having to continually swallow a pill to be able to log in. I mean, that sounds cool in theory, but I'm going to get tired of that really quick and possibly get indigestion. Whereas just having something, it's not like a fully embedded tattoo, but it's securely attached to my wrist and it's powered by that. That's pretty cool because I forget it's there. And I just, like you say, it's like the cat door for humans. I just unlock my house. I don't have to pull out a key or anything.
Until somebody hacks off your arm and uses that for authentication.
Oh, that's the same thing with any biometrics.
It wouldn't get power then.
Oh, you just have to power the arm. Didn't you do that in a lab? I did that in lab.
Oh, yeah, we did that with frogs.
I think we have the makings of a movie here, for sure.
We definitely do.
Let's move on to the randomizer. This is also a movie. It's also serious. The United Nations Human Rights Council has heard an appeal for a freeze on the development of lethal autonomous robots that are pre-programmed to kill or destroy and are not controlled by humans. Now, before you say, wait, that's crazy, why are they protesting that? Apparently, the United States, Britain, and Israel have all developed this technology, and the U.S. even has deployed it, although the U.S. requires there to be human control. The robots cannot go autonomous, even though they're capable of it. Now, human rights groups are taking a hard line, saying the international community should consider a complete ban on LARs, lethal autonomous robots, because we believe the experience with drones shows that once such weapons are in use, it is impossible to stop them. We've seen this in movies too, Darren.
Yeah, we have. It was what was it, Skynet or something like that? I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. This has been happening for the longest time. I mean, 30 years ago we had these. It's just that they didn't have guns and they went Mach 3. They didn't fly very well and crash landed in China. I'm talking about the D-21 here. So this is the X-47B that they're talking about, or at least on the U.S. side that Northrop Grumman created. Yeah, it's a bit scary, but it's kind of like on a long enough timeline, this is eventually going to happen anyway. So, I mean, the UN can bicker about it and make policies and stuff, but I don't know. I'm a little bit of a pessimist here.
I think we should formalize this kind of ban. If you're talking, just reading the phrase, the lethal autonomous robots are pre-programmed to kill or destroy, and unlike drones, are not controlled by humans once in the battlefield. Shouldn't that terrify you enough that this, if it wasn't formalized already, we should kind of say, hey, maybe we shouldn't send out death robots all the time because what are they going to do after they're done with us?
Well, the thing is, there's like UN stuff to formalize, the Outer Space Treaty, weapons in space, except it only applies to nuclear weapons. So if you're using traditional stuff, that's fine.
You're talking about the practical thing. I'm just looking for the press release. Saying,
oh, okay. Well, make
unmanned jets. Sure. Unmanned jets are a reality, and they could start firing missiles. The thing that I think they should do is say, look, lethal autonomous robots are not allowed to kill humans. Define it that way.
Ooh,
because what I do want is robot armies fighting each other instead of us, so we don't die.
That's BattleBots, Tom. I think that was a TV show.
But that was a competition. I'm talking about
that's
like
what a war
real.
Is.
I'm trying to be serious here, Ayaz.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, Mr. Merritt. Go ahead.
Actually, robot armies I'm only half kidding. I think that's something that will happen eventually. Kind of hope it does.
Well, I mean,
maybe I'm being anti-robot when I say that.
I mean, haven't we seen that already with the 2008 shoot down of an American reconnaissance satellite from a U.S. missile? I mean, that's robot on robot right there.
That might be considered the first shot in the robot on robot violent war.
Actually, it would have been 2007 with China, but yeah.
All right. Let's take a look at the calendar, see what's happening this weekend. There's a lot going on. Tomorrow is the first of 2 White House National Civic Days of Hacking. using the term to mean hacking, not cracking.
Woo.
Pretty cool. Also tomorrow, GameStop will in the United States will no longer accept PS2 trade-ins of any kind, including games, accessories, or systems. So if you got some PS2 stuff, hurry, get over to the GameStop today. Also on June 1st, edX will release the entire source code for its online learning platform. And coming up Monday, Mojang's Scrolls releases an open beta. That's from the creators who brought you Minecraft. And finally, as we mentioned at the top of the show, tomorrow is Tech News Today's 3rd birthday. Yay.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Hey, way to go, TNT.
Let's see what's incoming.
Incoming message.
Got a message from Mike. He says, hey guys, love the show. One thing you guys didn't talk about in episode 763 is that Blacko is considered malicious software by the IT industry. They do embedded toolbar installations just like Ask.com, Gator, Babylon, countless others, and is really difficult to remove. It's malware. Spam and virus research, except, of course, for their own spam. For the sake of reference, I'm a network administrator for a high-tech company and have spent endless hours both on the job and on the side for friends removing malware over the years. Now, Tom, you took a look at this, right?
Yeah, neither F-Secure nor McAfee list the Blacko thing as a threat in their databases, so this is technically not malware, although I'm sympathetic to Mike's opinion. A lot of people do call it a virus or do call it malware, and it's actually not Blacko per se. What happens is people install third-party software. This has happened hilariously with Adaware, as well as a registry cleaner and several other programs, and they do one of these things where they don't tell you what they're doing, and then they change your search engine to Blacko. They put a Blacko toolbar up in your Internet Explorer, and then it's hard to figure out how to get rid of it because you don't know which program installed it. So especially non-savvy users, it pretty much does act like a virus because it's something they didn't ask for and they can't figure out how to get rid of it. We've got a good link that you found, PCRisk.com, that shows all the good removal guidelines and all the different cases of how to get rid of this if you have found it.
Because Blacko.com itself isn't the malware, as you were mentioning, Tom. It's this toolbar that redirects confusing people. So definitely take a look at that. It'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, it's probably not virus. It's probably not malware. Darren, what would you call this? Just annoyware?
Annoying, yeah. It would be like, what would you classify Bonsai Buddy? That little purple.
Yeah.
I help.
Yeah.
Actually, I've had the Yahoo toolbar show up this way on a machine once or twice. Not in a long time, but like back 2008. There were programs that would include the Yahoo toolbar and just install it, and you would be like, "What? How did that happen?"
I've never had that problem when I sudo apt-get install anything, Tom. That's the weirdest
Yes,
thing.
I know. That kind of fixes it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Good call. All right, Len Peralta.
Oh, just lost him.
Oh, we just lost him.
Just
Darren
right then.
Kitchen. Thank you very much for joining us
Absolutely.
today. It was great having you. We kind of covered a little bit of the Hack Across America before, but give folks the update, where they can find it, where you're headed next, all that good stuff.
Okay, well, hackercrossamerica.com is the website. And if you're going to be in the Seattle area on June 15th, you're going to want to come out to the big meetup. We're doing a tour of the Living Computer Museum. We're doing some talks at the Metrics Create Space. And then we're going to GameWorks to play some classic arcade games. So that's June 15th in Seattle, as well as June 22nd in Los Angeles. Oh, and I can't forget Medford. So if you're in the Jackson County area of Oregon.
Medford, Oregon?
Medford. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. So check it out, hackercrossamerica.com. And, of course, check out Hack5, HAK5.org.
Yeah, no, Len. Still working.
Oh, we don't get to review his
Well, I took a couple of shots while we were going, so I have 3 of
vodka?
them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Screenshots.
I've been very busy. No, I have 2 of them. I'm sorry. Okay, so there was this one for the Intel Inside, and then we have...
Well, there's a can that says "Get in my belly," and then there's what's the next one?
Well, it's not a can, that's a tablet.
here, there
What
you
is
go.
This one. This is what a great meat scale.
Oh, he's drawn the fan TV
TV. There we go.
because it looks kind of like a scale. That's true.
Oh wow. Okay, I did not see that.
Yeah, because he's got little star things on there.
Yeah, and I wasn't quick enough to get the rest before we moved on to the next story, but I always try.
Well, that's all the more reason to go to lenperalta.com and investigate and see what happens. So thank you, Len. Sorry we lost your connection. Don't forget, folks, you can submit and vote on stories in our subreddit, technewstoday.reddit.com. It's a place to go to let us know what you want us to talk about. We consider it every day when we make our lineups. Don't forget our best of submissions. If there was a point at any point on any Twitch show that you thought, that's hilarious, that needs to be in the best of show at the end of the year, go to twit.tv/best of. Also, not to pile too many things on you, but we're going to be doing a hangout June 12th at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. So watch for that on a YouTube channel near you. And then we'll also be carrying it on live.twit.tv right after triangulation. So if you'd like to brainstorm with us about tech news today, it's not like we think there's anything horribly wrong with it, but we like to keep it fresh. We like new ideas. So check it out. That's June 12th at 4:30 p.m. Pacific.
All
you
right.
can find us on the web.
But I'm going to interrupt because we have Len.
Oh, good. So, Len, we saw the Intel Inside and we saw the meat scale. What else you got?
Yeah, so I'm going to start back from story 1. Story 1 was the Intel Inside.
Yep.
You guys see it here. Story 2 was about them killing the big fat tablet and the cute tablet.
Right, the HTC-RT 7-inch
Right.
tablet.
I told you these are a little bit tough. I couldn't think of anything good for Han Hai, so I thought of Street Fighter.
I planted that in your head, but you went with Ken, it looks like.
Yeah, kind of like Hadouken. The meat scale. I thought when I looked at that Manhattan box, it looked like a scale. So I just thought, hey, what a great meat scale. Someone who doesn't understand the whole thing. The Game Pop, which kind of looked like a toaster to me. Where does the toast go?
Waiting for the video.
Looking for that.
It's a little laggy, I think.
I guess your video is lagging behind on Desktop Presenter maybe because we're still seeing the meat scale right now.
Oh, well, here's
There we
go.
toast
Yeah.
one. Yes. So
You
there's
had
the
a weird
toast
idea
one.
what a toaster looks like.
It's just, well, this guy does. And then the final one, which was the pill or the tattoos. I took the pill route on this one. And the guy took the pill and finally remembered what his password was. You'll have to watch the video to see that. I don't want to say it on the show.
All right. So where do they go if they want to take a look at these again? LenPeralta.com?
LenPeralta.com, or follow me on Twitter at Len Peralta.
Thank you, Len. I'm glad we got you back finally. You can find us on the web at twit.tv/TNT. Email us, TNT@twit.tv. Give us a call. Leave us a voicemail, 260-TNT-SHOW. We'll see you Monday when we will have more people. Peter Wells will join us, actually. See you then.